Hey everyone, welcome to another live stream with myself, Kwaku Amprako, and today is going to be a special one. I've got a special guest, and let me just switch. So this is Michael Brunigroff, and he is the founder of Logo Package Express. You guys have probably got it downloaded on your computers already, but that was the first revolutionary logo design tool that would export logos in... How fast have you timed it, Michael?
Yeah, I've done a couple hundred logos in like 3 minutes before.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And originally that would have taken how long without the exporter? A couple of days?
I mean, yeah, it just depends on how many variations you have. You know, if you were just doing a mark logo type and like a full lockup, then it would probably take half an hour minimum. But if you've got a couple of different layouts, then yeah, you're looking at an hour or more.
Crazy. Yeah. That's insane. So guys, this stream is called Design Tools Made by Designers. So me and Mike have a similar background. We started off as graphic designers, logo designers, and I actually was working with an agency, and I had to make so many logo design presentations, and it was just like so much pixel pushing. And then that just made me realize there's things that can be automated. And then I made Logo Grid Generator, which was actually a very small part of a bigger vision. So Michael, can you just share with us how you came about Logo Package Express, how you got the idea?
I worked for agencies in Chicago for 4 years, and one of the things I had to do was make logo packages. We'd get done with a project and we needed to send all the files to the client. And, you know, I got my process down really quickly, but it still was taking about an hour, even, you know, clicking things and typing things as quickly as possible. So that was kind of in the back of my mind as a problem that might need to be solved, but I was still very much interested in being a designer, right? So I went freelance, and I had two big major clients that basically took up all of my time and was my livelihood. But one of them started having business troubles, and I wanted to step away from that relationship before they couldn't pay me. So that left me a lot of time. And I thought I was going to become sort of like a unicorn designer that could do like design websites and develop them and all of that stuff. But I got sidetracked pretty quickly by this book called How to Design Products People Love. Oh. Essentially, it led me to kind of remembering that problem that I had and then seeing if other people had that problem as well. And then I released my first version of Logo Package Express. Yeah. It was just like templates and scripts and stuff that you had to manually kind of manipulate, but it did get the process down to like 5 minutes or so. But that was my first version. And, you know, when I launched that first really rough version, I had 36 people in my email list, and I sold 2 copies the first day, which was not exciting to me at the time. But I would say to anyone now who maybe is thinking about launching something, like getting any sales is an achievement.
Any sales. On that note, when you talk about an audience, I was so when I went to Dallas I think it was last month or 2 months ago, I was speaking to some designers, and I was saying I believe every freelancer should think about having a product, because when you go into freelancing, you're basically an entrepreneur. And then the sooner you realize that, the better entrepreneur you'll be.
I thought it was interesting that, you know, you brought up that you thought every freelancer should have a product. And I guess all I want to say about that at this point is, products don't have to be software. They don't have to be a book, a course. You know, it could be a little guide. Here's a color theory guide for you or whatever. And that can go to other designers, or you can have things that your clients are going to like. They can be free, and you just use these products as lead generations to gather people's email addresses. And you can also productize your own services. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have seen like, oh, we do a brand assessment workshop and it's $500 or whatever. It's just like this flat fee. That's another way to create a product around what you do. Really, it's just, where does my knowledge overlap with what other people need?
Yeah.
And, you know, all of those things fit into that. But in terms of sort of the logo landscape, I'm not going to pretend that I, had some grand vision when I started. I just really liked this research process, and it led me to this problem with logo designers. And there were sort of three problems. The first problem was new designers were not really sure what files they were supposed to give their clients. There's a lot of different file formats to choose from. There's a lot of different like sizes and colors and stuff like that, and they just don't really know what to provide. Then the second problem was the experienced designers who knew exactly what logo files needed to be sent. They knew it took a ton of time and was super tedious. And then the third problem was, okay, you get an experienced designer who makes 250 logo files, to send to their client. Client's job is to know their business. It is not to know the difference between a PDF and an SVG, or what a reverse color scheme is or whatever. So they get 250 files and they have no idea what to do with them. So my research identified those three problems, and right away solving two of them conceptually was as simple as automating that process. You don't know what files to provide? Just click our button. You'll get all the files you need. You know that it takes a ton of time? Just click our button and it'll happen in 3 minutes. So, that was my first product. And the effect of it was that many designers, they can't do their work without it anymore. They schedule things differently because they know it's only going to take so much time. So if Logo Package Express, our Adobe Illustrator extension suddenly went away, those people would be having a tough day because they didn't schedule their time for this process. So in that way, like in a small way, it has revolutionized the way that people work. And I also think once designers realize that they can automate the process, it opens them up to being a little bit more exploratory. They might say, you know what, instead of avoiding creating a couple of different variations for really special circumstances, because I know it's going to take me forever to export them, I might explore that. I might, I had a nice sort of vertical version. I'll make that one now because I can just export it really quickly. But in terms of the future and where I want to go with my business, I don't have a business if it's not valuable to my customers. So in that way, there's going to be sort of this influence of making things that really help people. But at the same time, just as a single person, I am interested in solving problems. And so I need to do that. And this is the landscape that I live in. And I'm going to continue to try to solve problems here until that's not fulfilling or doesn't work as a business anymore.
Wow. Yeah, you said that absolutely perfectly. Just touching up on when you said it doesn't have to be software to have a product. It can be freebies. It could be just downloadable stuff. And I totally agree. And I also think people should be themselves in terms of everyone can provide value that's unique. So everyone has their own take and look at things. For example, like I'm more focused on efficiency. Like my stance is, why am I going to spend an hour on that when I can just do this for a second? Like, why am I going to spend so much of my time when I can just do that? And I'm always just thinking I can just be using my time to do this. So I think when everyone's just like being themselves, they can really bring a lot of value. So when it comes to making a product, I think it's actually like being yourself and solving a problem that can help other people. So you put that just perfectly.
Yeah, the individual is really what you're selling. And I think a lot of people miss that and they're afraid of it. They think, well, why would I make another brand guideline template? There's 600 million brand guideline templates out there. Or why would I make another project management template in Notion or something like that? And the thing is, it doesn't matter that your product is unique. It matters that people like you. They listen to you. They're waiting for something from you. We're all designers. Yeah. We're all putting up our work, or we're talking about how we do it. Everybody's doing it. What happens though is that, random person A watched something and they liked you, and now they follow you. They don't follow the 500 other people with brand guidelines. They follow you. And if you put your brand guidelines up, or whatever it is your little product is going to be, the people who like you don't have a reason to go searching anywhere else. they like you, they're already listening to you. So you don't have to have the world's most unique idea. You don't have to revolutionize the design space. You don't even have to make any sales, just go through the process of creating something, putting it out there, do it for free. If you're worried about people not wanting to pay, if it's not how you're trying to make a living at first anyway, just experiment with it. So I agree. It's about the individual, not about how unique their offering is in terms of the whole landscape being a real standout. It's the personality that stands out.
Yeah. I would even just lastly say that before we move on. There's another designer. It's actually my friend now. His name's Jack Chitty. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Chitco on Instagram. So Jack's based in the UK as well. So he released a brand guidelines template. You can see his brand on the guidelines, and everyone has a unique style. So I agree with you. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily just the product, it's whose product it is. And you can see that throughout. Like the individual leaves a mark. So yeah, I think it comes down to branding as well. And at the end, branding goes a long way. So yeah. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to quickly showcase Logo Grid Generator. So finally.
Yeah, this is all about making, taking your logos and making them presentable for either Instagram or for clients. Exactly. Or great.
Exactly. It's funny actually, because that was the initial. So when I first done it, so it was actually a trend that people started to use with grids, and I'm like, why would I just spend so long? Can't I just click a button and it will do it? So finally ended up doing it, and I realized my initial idea was to make sure that it was presentable, but I discovered it had a lot more utility than just presentation. It allowed me to like find errors. So previously, I've released some reels. So I visited some old logos and I've used the grid. So this is the features. We have anchors, handles, outlines, grid lines. My personal favorite one is grid lines. So with grid lines, if we just select the logo, click generate. So you can actually find any weird errors. If you see like weird things like this, double grid lines, you just think, can't I just simplify this to make sure that this is the same width as the one above? Right. But then obviously you'll have to do that as well, and you can just neaten it up rather than manually doing all the grids. I was actually working on a YouTube video before we started, and it was automated these manual grids, and it's me doing a time lapse between the two videos. Oh, yeah. It was painstaking to redo this again. I was just thinking, thank God for this, because I am not doing it. Like, it was so long. It was so long to do, but I'm excited to release that video. So
yeah, what I noticed your Instagram posts on that utility of like being able to make sure that things are lined up. I think that there's two sides to that. One is, did I mess something up and is it not the same width? Okay, great. We're designers, we like consistency. But at the same time, a lot of design is about optical alignment. And in the case of like, I see areas now on this grid that I can slightly push things left or right from the true grid to make it more of an optical alignment. And I don't have to like eyeball it really, because there's a grid line for me to reference to. So I think for people who are trying to get perfect geometric mathematical accuracy, it's great. And then for people who want to just tweak it off of the mathematical accuracy, this really helps with that too.
Wow. Just said perfectly. So I'm just going to do generate all and just show everything. So when you generate all, depending on the size, you can see anchors, grid lines. So anchors, handles, outlines, and grid lines. But yeah, that's really about it. You guys have seen it many times. I'm gonna let Michael take it away now. Michael, if you can share with us your new tool.
Yeah, so I'll do a little intro on it before I get into
for sure.
Screen share. So we've been talking about Logo Package Express, but that's just one of 3 of my products. I launched a new product on Monday called Logo Package Swatch. And Logo Package Swatch is simply about gathering color information from artwork in Illustrator and then allowing you to use that information to generate color guides for your clients very quickly. So the extension is over here on the right side. It's called Logo Package Swatch. And when you open up Logo Package Swatch for the first time, you're going to see sort of a default template project called my project. I'm going to call this one, I don't know, Barnyard or something. It's just going to be whatever name you want. But to collect color information, when you're inside of Illustrator, if you want to get this color information using Illustrator's normal techniques, you'd open up the color picker and you have HSB, you have RGB, CMYK, and hex here. That's not all of the different color spaces that you might need information for. But even beyond that, you have to like click into each field every time. Copy, paste, copy, paste. You got to type out RGB. You got to type out CMYK. Like, this is not very simple. And a lot of designers, they'll take a screenshot of this screen so they can type it in more quickly, or they'll write their colors down on a Post-it note. I mean, it's like caveman stuff here compared to what it could be. So that's like the old process. Now with Logo Package Swatch, all you have to do is just make a selection of your colors. And if this were a logo or something and you hadn't even made color swatches, but you still wanted the color information, you can select any object. And you just come over here and click Add Selected Colors. And instantly we have all of the colors from the selection, and we've given them like a really interesting or fun name. Like Punch, like this makes me think of Hawaiian Punch, right? I didn't come up with these names. They're part of a library, but I think that they're fun. But the real magic is when you come in and expand it. Now you can see that we brought in the hex code, the RGB. We have hue, saturation, brightness, hue, saturation, lightness, CMYK, lab, and we even are bringing back Pantone conversion to Illustrator, because after Illustrator 2021, Pantone and Adobe sort of split up and they removed the Pantone libraries from Adobe. So there is no real way for you to get Pantone information out of newer versions of Illustrator. Until now, with Logo Package Swatch, we use our sort of proprietary algorithm to figure out the best like optical match of a Pantone color to whatever color you have set. And sometimes that's different between coded and uncoded. But anyways, this is the sort of collecting information part, right? We've gone through and really easily put all this information in one place. But the next thing is getting that information out. So if you remember from the color picker, it's a lot of many copy pastes. But in Logo Package Swatch, you can just copy paste whatever information you want. So if you want just a hex value or something, you can come over here and copy the hex information and just paste that in. Okay, that's really no different than Illustrator at this point. But you can also copy all of the color information for that entire color. So now if you go back to your pre-designed sort of, if you have your own kind of brand way of presenting color guides, you just copy that right in there.
Wow.
It's all there. It's the whole color. Now, beyond that, you can also turn on and off these different color mixes if they're not something you actually like to provide to your clients. So we just come up to the settings here. We will turn off HSL, HSB, lab, and we can even turn off Pantone. Maybe we just want a really simple color guide for our client. So that is all off. And then I can also change the formatting. So maybe I don't want R equals. I just want to say, hey, it's RGB and it's these values. So select that, go back to my project. And now you can see that it's only the information that we wanted from the settings. Oh. If I copy that again, come back in here and paste it, boom. So you can paste right into your own color guides, and that's great. Now, maybe you're somebody who says, I work with sort of small clients. They don't need anything super fancy. I just need to get them a PDF really quickly. Yeah. Well, in that case, Logo Package Swatch can also automatically generate this kind of guideline for you. All you have to do is go to Color Actions, click Make Color Sheet, and then I'm going to choose my desktop here, click Open. And now I've generated a PDF. So that PDF is on my desktop. I can open it and look at it there. But additionally, I can open it in Illustrator here, which I'm going to do. And it is totally customizable. It's totally editable, right? So this PDF opens up, and here is the color guide that we've generated. You didn't have to lay anything out. You didn't have to do anything. But maybe you don't like the shapes of these rectangles or whatever. So you just come in Sorry, I don't have the right tool selected, but you can just come in and make any changes you want to. This is all totally editable. So now it's a little bit narrower. And if I want to change the font of these, it's just using Illustrator to change any of these design elements in your document, or change the orientation to landscape or whatever. But it's literally just one click. We've got our project here, color actions, make color sheet. Or you have your own design, you can copy out information, as granularly or as big of a chunk at a time as you want. And I guess the last thing to showcase with Logo Package Swatch here is that this can act as a place that you can store all of your color information for all of your projects. We have projects here, and if I go to Open Project, you'll see my list of projects, and there could be hundreds of projects in here. It just depends on what you want to save color information for. But if I click this Candy Barn project, then now I have another color project that I was working on, and I can always create new projects or delete projects that I have no use for anymore. And so then over the years, client from 3 years ago comes back to you and says, hey, what were our colors again? You don't have to go into your hard drive that you've stored somewhere in your closet and dig through a bunch of folders. You just have it right here inside of Illustrator.
Nice.
So that is my demo of Logo Package Swatch, our new product. It's out this week. There is a code to get 20% off right now, which is Launch20, LAUNCH20. You just put that in at checkout and you can get 20% off. So that's Logo Package Swatch. Thanks for letting me share it.
No worries at all. Love it. So Mike, I wanted to ask, is this connected to Logo Package Portal?
So in order to get this product out and launched and available to people who may not have ever used any of our other products, this first version does not send color information to your portal projects. But if you're just using your logo colors, then those colors are going to get sent to Logo Package Portal through the Express process anyway. But we talked earlier about revolutionizing these spaces, and as I continue to work and grow the business, I would love to have one ecosystem for all of these different ideas, have it all be connected. But right now, if you've never heard of Logo Package Express, if you don't do a lot of logo projects, you're not interested, you can just get Logo Package Swatch to collect color information for your branding projects. Or even if you are an illustrator and you just want to make sure your colors are consistent and that sort of thing, you can buy it, and you don't have to worry about being connected to any of our other products.
Nice. Guys, there you have it. Those are the two new tools. And Michael, when would this be coming out again?
So we launched on Monday, so it's totally available now. But for those who are listening right now, you just go to logopackage.com and you'll be able to find Logo Package Swatch. And it is 20% off until the end of Sunday. So basically, all of November 5th, it's still 20% off, but by November 6th, it will go back to full price, and full price is only $25. It's a fairly affordable extension.
And these are all, I also like to look at it, these are all tools that save you money at the end of the day. Like how long, like for example, imagine if there wasn't Logo Package Express, you would actually be spending days a year just exporting logos. So, and that's not even me just saying it because we have products, but again, I'm just someone, I understand my time, and it's like I would rather spend this amount, or I'd rather do this to not have to do that. So yeah, especially as freelancers as well, we have to invest in things to just save time. It's not you just have to invest. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining the stream. Michael, thank you so much for joining. We have to do another episode, so this would be episode 1. This is Design Tools Made by Designers, episode 1. And yeah, Michael, thank you so much for joining and sharing your story with Logo Package and all your other products. So really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for helping me out and supporting our launch.
Sure. All right, guys, thank you so much once again. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. Or Michael, do you want to share where everyone can find you? Or
yeah, on Instagram is probably just the easiest place right now in terms of social, and that's just at Logo Package.
Cool. Guys, I also put that in the bio, so I'll just edit this bio as well. So again, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow as well. So yeah, guys, but have a great weekend. Until next time. Bye for now.